An additional thing on that?
He would like to contribute. See, we're letting fans contribute.
Yeah, if you do have a panel idea, the thing I've noticed, which is a big recommendation of mine, is if you have a panel idea, also have an outline and explain how it will fill the hour. That's a really important part.
Yeah, big time.
Excellent. Yes, excellent point. Most of the time, we don't want to see your whole presentation. We don't have to. We trust you. Usually we ask for PowerPoint slides and what kind of feasible electronics you might need. And the only thing we flat out said no to is one of the very first panel today, cosplay panel, wanted to Skype their friends in because their friends had great ideas and wanted to be part of the input because they were a group of cosplayers and they wanted, use their group chemistry to make a better panel. Well, Skype is really difficult in this room.
Yeah, don't believe in Skype in this room.
Yeah, it's just...
Apparently Skype is difficult everywhere.
Yeah.
Skype is a butt, let me tell you.
Yeah. That was the only reason we said no, not because we're malicious, evil people or even lazy. It's because it's a logistical nightmare. Oh, well, Paul is evil, but that's testimony. Paul is the true power behind the throne. I may be the panel queen, but he's like Pope or something. Holy Roman Emperor. There we go.
Okay, stream seems to be running. Hopefully I updated that properly. Alright, we're going to start winging this thing out here, I think. I'll get these lights set up, but we can also begin the panel proper, I think, while I'm setting up. So, welcome to the Fan and Media panel for TFcon 2017. This is the collaborative crowd-sourced video review panel, because we're going to run things the way we have in past, which is, for the last 2 years, I've tried out this wonderful experiment where we try to just film the footage for a video review here at TFcon with the help of whoever happens to be in attendance. And it usually turns out pretty well. Last year's isn't online yet, and I have a great reason for it. Can anyone guess?
You're lazy?
Well, I am, but that's not the reason this time.
Your computer exploded.
Not quite. I can't find the footage. I've actually lost my TFcon 2017 footage. I don't think it's gone.
2017 hasn't happened yet.
My TFcon 2016 footage, I don't think it's actually gone.
2016 never happened.
That's right. But in the alternate reality where everything went great last year, I think I just put it on the wrong hard drive. I have like 6 labeled hard drives. So I looked at all the ones that were labeled convention stuff, and it wasn't there, which means I was incredibly smart, and I probably put in one of the ones that wasn't labeled convention stuff. So that's a quick first lesson here for the fan media panel. When you start doing any kind of media, podcasts, reviews, anything, and you start making them en masse, I highly recommend on day 1 being extremely organized with how you store your footage. Because if you start becoming organized on like year 2, then it's a lot harder. It's also worth deciding whether or not some things are worth backing up. I'm one of those people who backs up everything. Your life will be a lot easier if you, say, take vlogs or one-off streams and say, you know what, maybe this doesn't need to be backed up. Maybe this can just live on YouTube, and if it disappears, it disappears. But what we are making here is neither a vlog nor, well, it is a stream, I guess, technically. We are making a little video review of something straightforward and simple. Lights are on, hooray. Ooh, that's a weird noise. Something in this is not happy. Try a different outlet. If not, we'll just improvise. Yeah, that's weird. Must be a voltage problem or something. Anyway, I got other lights, thank goodness. Oh, you know what? I know what I did. These are the wrong thingamies. These go with the little lights. Another thing that's very important is to be organized with your stuff. I use color-coded twist ties to try to remind me of things. Like, in this case, it reminded me that those were the wrong AC adapters. But we are going to review something small and simple. Have any of you guys watched video reviews before on YouTube?
Video? What is this video? Would you speak of?
Have any of you guys read textual reviews on the internet before?
Used to? Yes.
Should do both. It's actually pretty cool.
They have to make us use our imaginations for that.
Well, there's some stuff in text that I don't know. There's some stuff that text can capture that video cannot capture, and vice versa. Okay, here we go. It's working. One other thing about equipment that's important to know is you need to have backups. Now, about 5 days before TFcon, my usual camera well and fully died. So it's over in Brampton right now having its motherboard replaced. So I figured to make this panel even more accessible and more on the level, we're going to film it on my phone. Because you know what a lot of people film stuff on? Their phone.
Oh, yeah.
That's right. And I think it's important to highlight the fact that filming on a phone is not only entirely viable, it's literally what you should probably do if you're going to start making your own media. Because I've had the question come up before of like, what kind of camera should I get? I want to start making YouTube videos. And it's kind of like, don't. If you have a phone, use this thing. It can record like a decent 720, 480, something like 4K, quote unquote, video. And when you're just starting out, that's all you need. It doesn't have to be perfect right away, because if you haven't made a video before, it's not going to be perfect right away. What we're going to review is small and simple. It is this, the Hot Soldiers soundtrack and Laser Bird. That's his name, soundtrack. His friend's name is Laser Bird. They're not called Soundwave and Laserbeak. What we're going to do to start off is, the way this panel works, we're going to divide it into segments the way I usually do with my scripts. And that always goes intro, paint and sculpt, transformation, articulation, overall thoughts. In the case of a transformer, paint and sculpt is more robot mode. In this case, because he's packaged in robot mode, we're going to go intro, robot mode, articulation, transformation, alt mode, overall thoughts. When I'm going to film each part of it and kind of give you guys the most objective summary of facts you need, and then if you have a sentence you'd like to drop in relation to that segment, line up at the Q&A mic, and you will have 15 seconds to say one sentence. I counted, it usually takes me about 45 seconds to say one sentence, but I talked slow and I don't use commas. So I figured if I divide that by 3, it would make total sense. So to start off, we're going to just do something I like to do, which is a quick bit of B-roll of the packaging for the introduction. Because usually when you introduce a video, you need about 30 seconds or so of just some kind of picture fill. Because you're saying, hi, this is my name, I'm reviewing this thing. It comes from here, here's a real witty line, and then we're going to talk about the toy. In my case, of course, I just usually say, here's a real witty line, and I forget to write anything. But I find it's very rare that you go into a review where you don't need at least 15 to 20 seconds of some kind of fill. So I usually film in like little 15-second segments of whatever the packaging happens to be, if I still have it. It's also a great way to make use of packaging before you throw it out, which you should do. Just toss packaging, trust me. In the case of this dude, like the packaging is pretty attractive, but I don't really like reviewing packaging unless it impedes the process of enjoying the figure. Like usually to me, packaging is kind of like, get out of here. You get the stuff out of the clamshell, and then you take the clamshell, put it back together all nice and carefully, and then like throw it where no one's going to look. We've got us a little sound wave. I'll load him up with his bits and pieces right away, so we can kind of launch into that. But have any of you guys messed with the Hot Soldiers Soundwave before? Anyone here a veteran with this toy? Excellent! We can just dive into this thing, all raw style. So, we'll start off with the robot mode. This dude is a 25 Canadian dollar figure over at where I bought it, over at Proud Show Presenter, the show's Proud. And I think you can get them online for like 15 US back when he was out. This is the original version. There's like 3 versions of this thing now. So it's a small legend-sized sound wave, and the draw of this, aside from the way he looks, is the fact that he's not very expensive. And I think that's something to keep in mind when you're thinking of your points, because critiques are useful, and I think balancing your critiques against what you're paying, thinking of value proposition, is a way to make them a little more interesting. So get a good look at this robot mode. Like, I don't know if you know what Soundwave looks like. Hopefully you do, otherwise we're in some trouble. But come up with some thoughts on just the appearance of this robot mode. Think about how much it looks like Soundwave to you. Think about how much it maybe doesn't look like Soundwave to you. I'll give him a little spin around. I'm going to take a look at the back. Do you guys like what you see in back? Do you like that rump or do you not? Do you think that the cannon on his shoulder is suitable? Do you think the gun looks okay? Before we continue, I'll show you one little thing about this gun. The silver missile here pops out, so you can pretend like you shot it. There are 2 of these silver missiles, and there's also a clear blue missile. I guess if you want to pretend like the missile is made of ice, is all energized, it's on fire so much that it's blue. So that's about it for just the basic tenets of the robot mode. Oh, but there's one other thing. He's also got a door on his chest. Does anyone remember what cassettes are? That's a joke we're still going to be telling for a good couple decades. He has a little tape inside of his chest. The little tape, yeah, it looks like a tape. You can fold wings out and flip a head out. Head is tight. There we go. Turns into a vastly unpainted little laser beak as far as his face goes. He's got his silver stuff in the back. This is kind of like just an accessory. That doesn't really do anything, but it does give you that extra little value add if you do get excited about these kind of things. So, think about this thing. I'm going to give you about 5 seconds. All right, if you have any thoughts about this robot mode, just the paint, the sculpt, the overall look, think of a sentence. Head over to the mic if you would like. If you haven't got anything, head over to the mic and just go for it. You have 15 seconds to think of a sentence to say, so why not? While you're all getting ready, I'm going to get the good audio out. Where did I put it? I had it out a second ago. This is the whole being organized thing. Yeah, it's not for everybody. It certainly ain't for me. Oh, here it is. It was sitting right in front of me the entire time. So I'll get this thing turned on so that we can record your thoughts right up close in some high quality detail. Make sure the stream can see everything here too. There we go. The stream gets a big eye full of light. That's what they get for not being here. So I will get this set up. Oh, I'll get my phone ready. So I'll show you the stopwatch as it's running. So hopefully it's not too frightening, but you do have 15 seconds. This is the audio for the Painted Sculpt Family 2017 panel. That's also helpful to you as an editor, to just say stuff into your audio so you know what it is. Okay, I'll hit the button, and you just go for it.
If you ever wanted a masterpiece sound wave that could fit in your pocket and scale alongside your Combiner Boards Gestalt, here's your guy.
Nice, 9 seconds. Go.
All the details are very micro.
Man, that was perfect. That's like 4 seconds. YouTube loves you. Go.
I really like how the silver paint is used on the front of him. It's used on the buttons and the details on his knees, which kind of makes him pop against the gray on his upper legs, and in contrast with the dark blue on the rest of his body.
Nice, 10-seconder, but it was full of info. And finally, he's blue. Something dabba-dee, dabba-die. That was terrible, no laugh. All right, so that gives us our versatile sound file. Now what we're going to do is talk about articulation. So, usually this bit I like to do live, quote unquote. In my scripts I usually just put improv. A thing with YouTube reviews is probably they are fairly unscripted, done, sitting behind the camera, you've got a toy in front of you, your camera's here, and it's that angle everyone's kind of grown to know and love. I moved away from a lot of that back in 2011, 2012, when I started scripting more of my videos, and then I immediately got feedback saying some of the spontaneity is gone. So I tried to bring that back mostly in the articulation segments. So we'll bring that back in this articulation segment. When you have a phone, one of the most valuable things you can get is like one of these things. It's for putting it on a tripod. It also makes this like really cool noise. And having like little tripods is super helpful. There should be one more around here somewhere. Here it is. So when it comes to like your opening gear, if you do want to get gear for doing a review, first off, if you have a smartphone, you have your camera and probably your audio. It's good enough for your first little go. The first things you'll probably want to get are some lights. You don't have to get these kind of lights, but this setup of 2 lights pointing in, like from either side towards the subject, That will satisfy some of your basic lighting needs. And then if you are shooting on your phone, getting some kind of little tripod attachment for a little tripod, and a little tripod if you need one, that will satisfy your stability needs as far as shots where you are just talking. Because if you try to handheld and do the thing, like you'll see videos online where this happens, where someone's talking and just moving the phone around while they talk. You can do it, but that is a ton of pressure to put on yourself as a quote-unquote performer, because it means you're trying to work the camera, you're trying to think of things to say, and say them clearly all at the same time. And that can work a couple times. Eventually that can lead to some severe burnout. Or it can lead to reviews where you're just not happy with what happened, and you want to do the whole thing from scratch all over again. And just make things easy on yourself by making things a little more complicated up front. So when we do articulation, this one I'm kind of just going to do by myself here to save us some time, and also to go with the way that this little setup works. But bear in mind some of the things I say here, because they will enter into your overall thoughts. And trust me, articulation on this guy heavily enters into the overall thoughts, because it's where some of his biggest faults are. So if I get this thing going again, I'll get the audio going, I'll get the video going, and then if you do start wanting to advance your audio capabilities, if you have a way to jack a good microphone you picked up into your camera or your recording device, that is one way to do things. Sometimes you can get a good deal on standalone audio recorders, and then all you need to do to make this work out fine is you can get your hands in shot if you want. You don't have to. You just got to go articulation, and then you can synchronize that clap in your editing software, and you're all good to go. So we're all set up here for some articulation talk. This dude has got a neck joint, lets him look left and right, lets him look up a little bit, but if you look up too far, the neck pops out of its panel for the transformation. If you look down just a touch, it's a ball socket joint, but it's got a little bit of tilt from side to side. It's a pretty good ball socket joint. It's just got this little thing where if you try to make him look up, it might pop out. He's got ball socket shoulders. He's got a cut in the top so the ball socket can let him do a full-on tree pose. He's got a hinged elbow joint. He's got a ball socket wrist joint, which mostly allows for left and right swivel. You can tilt it down as well if you want him to kind of, point his gun in that sort of I'm going to pop you from the sky sort of posture when you're like, holding somebody up or something, or just trying to look like you're cool. The thing that I have not brought up is a bicep swivel, and that's because there is no bicep swivel. That is something that could have been solved by just having a ball socket elbow joint, and it's an unfortunate oversight because he also doesn't have a waist joint, but on something this small, a waist joint is a bit more of a luxury than a requirement, as much as I would like one. He does have a ball socket set of hips, which allow him to do the splits. If he were Johnny Cage in Mortal Kombat, he could punch someone in the nuts and make them go, ah! He has a knee joint, big old hinged knee joint with a big thick leg. It looks great when he bends his knee. He's got a thigh swivel, so he doesn't have a bicep swivel, but he does have a dedicated mushroom-pegged thigh swivel. Here's the big thing, though. The thigh swivel is down here, right above the knee joint, right where there's some stuff sticking up over his knee joint. If you bend his knee, you can't swivel his thigh anymore because this up sticky stuff has now blocked it. That's a bummer. His ankles don't tilt, but you can point his toes if you want him to be a pretty ballerina. And that's about it for the articulation. So it's like this dude, he's well posable for his size, but the lack of bicep swivels feels like something that did not have to happen, and the impediment of his thigh swivel feels like something that definitely should not have happened. End segment. So bear some of that stuff in mind for your overall thoughts. Next, we're going to do the transformation. I usually shoot these in montage. However, I just had my back to you guys for a whole long while, so what if I just like pull it up? What if we zoom in a little bit and I just transform him in front of you? Then we can skip through some of the rigmarole. Have you guys watched any of the reviews I put up, by the way?
Yeah.
Okay. If you haven't seen them, like Aaron over there, the way I like to do my transformation, portrayals, is I like to shoot them in segments, and I like to do what's called cutting on action. So while I'm doing this, I can tell you where I might cut on action. Doing transformations in montage allows for two things. It allows you to make them look really cool, and And it also means you don't have to transform the thing perfectly in one take. If you have watched a lot of video reviews on YouTube, I'm sure one thing you may have noticed is the habit of you're seeing a video, a guy's transforming a thing, and suddenly it's like, oh no, wait, what do I do now? And then, whether or not they cut away, it's a moment, right? Like sometimes you can highlight something, but it also makes it feel like you are watching, a live feed rather than like a fully produced video piece. So one thing you can do with this guy is take his weapons off, but like keep them handy. Like if you have a giant table behind you like I do, that's great. Then you take his head, turn it backwards, and then that panel that popped up during the articulation segment, you fold that down, now his head is all happily stuck into his spine. Take his arms, and you do the sound wave motions for the most part here. They move backwards like this on a dedicated panel. Then you can fold his hands in, and there are a couple blocks here on his posterior backpack that you can grip his hands onto, so he can like literally hold onto his own butt, and his hands are hidden. Actually holding your own butt's a lot easier than bending your wrist 90 degrees. You just kind of go like, and you got it. His feet fold up like this. His legs do that sound wave thing where they come up and fold in, and then there's a tab connection, real solid, and it, oh man. There you go. It makes that satisfying kind of click noise. One other thing about shooting your transformations, in my opinion, it helps immensely to hear the noises the toy makes, like this kind of thing here. Yeah. This is tight. There, that like kind of katook. If you're shooting instructional stuff or you want to just showcase how a transformation works, if it's a complicated and expensive toy like a Masterpiece Megatron, the recent MP36, hearing the noises the plastic makes, in my opinion, is enormously important because that's how you know if you're moving something right. Because there's a habit in instructional videos to have backing music, and that's fine, but backing music also masks the noises. So that clack noise, right? Imagine if, say, moving his leg up like this would also cause a big like ka-tunk noise, right? That's also a noise you might associate with plastic breaking. If you don't know what's supposed to make that noise, it can be a real worry. So as a personal request to someone who often needs videos to tell how to transform stuff like Macross toys or MP36 because the instructions are garbage. Hearing what the toy sounds like when it transforms, I think is super important. This is also the transformation. I killed a lot of time doing that. The way that the weapons store, here's one last bit here. They are still batteries. They've got a tab slot connection. There's a slot on the back of the battery, and there are some tabs over yonder. I always forget the way that these go on. I bought this toy yesterday. Don't hold that against me. There's a cool thing this does where you take the missile that's in here. Oh, I put that in tight. And you put it in the other way around. And now this is a battery too. Oh my god. And this thing can stick in the same way as the other one. That's a battery store. Whether or not you think that's clean, it's up to you. But just thinking about how this guy transformed, think of a sentence, preferably one that takes no less than 15 seconds. And if you've got it, please line up at the microphone. If you don't got it, take a chance and line up at the microphone anyway. Worst case, I'll go like, and buzz you out. It'll be real funny. It'll be like Family Feud. I was hoping to get some of those squares with the red X's up here. Yeah, but the Faction Feud took all the squares with the red X's in them. Like, bunch of jerks. We could have done this all proper game show style. Does anyone have any thoughts on transformation? Anyone want to just come up and state the obvious? Yeah, come on up. Say it's blue.
No.
I didn't mean to spoil that for you. All right, so we got the phone over here. Let's leave the tripod attached so I look like I'm real fancy. I got the stopwatch ready. Let's get the audio ready. Would you believe I picked up this thing which was on, and I thought, all right, time to turn it on, and I turned it off. So now we're waiting for it to turn back on. Here we go. Hang on a sec. I'm going to look for this thing to boot up. Here we go. Transformation segment for the fan media panel. Let's keep this pointed at you. And go.
It's also silver.
Woo!
Actually, in all actuality, transformation is very classic sound wave.
He still fit that into 15 seconds. I think that's.
Didn't mention the classic sound wave.
Now you just got to think of some synonyms. Like, okay, y'all ever written an essay in high school? It's gonna be that thing where, like, okay, you read the sentence of the information. Yeah, add some fluff. 15 seconds left.
the transformation is very nostalgic if you're into that type of stuff.
See, that's genius, because also sometimes you just want the video to be another minute longer. All right, go ahead.
It's not much of a, like, in the transformation, it kind of looks like there's, without batteries, it may fall over, just because they didn't really add anything to the end of it.
We'll check that once we're done this segment. All right, go ahead.
G1 Soundwave, enough said.
And go ahead.
From the looks of the transformation, it seems like Soundwave has both reach and flexibility.
Like I said, anyone can do it, but yeah, he does.
Contrary to propaganda, he can find his ass with both hands.
Did I make you think about the butt here? Oh, do you need the mic? Go ahead.
This Soundwave reminds me of G1 impression.
That's where we can also do some audio post and like throw in a vocoder and stuff. Alrighty. Yeah.
He transforms really neatly, everything folds away, and it's a pretty clean transformation, I think, for a legend scale figure like this.
Alright, and finally.
Something superior, something inferior.
Well, workshop the line. I think there's something, you're onto something with that.
But is it something superior or inferior?
Oh, we gotta find out by the end, right? Hey, you know what's a real easy thing to do on a Soundwave review? You say whether or not to is superior or inferior. All right. So first thing we'll do with this tape mode, I'm actually curious about this. All right, I'll take the batteries off, and holy crap! I didn't think it was going to do that. Okay, it fell over.
You're right.
Put the batteries back on. Let's just make sure it actually stays standing if I do put the batteries back in. So I think also, I think they actually put those tabs in a place where you have to put one battery with the plus side up and the other with the plus side down. Yeah, he needs the batteries to stay standing. You got it. Where are you?
Yeah, who said that?
Yeah, you called it. I hadn't even checked that. All right, so now we know something, by the way, about the tape deck mode. Whoever goes up first has an easy one.
They're heel spurs.
For a cassette player, you know, the cassette heels. I mean, technically, a cassette player is a giant foot. Anyway, the nice thing about an alt mode like this is the B-roll is super simple. I forgot to do robot mode B-roll, but we'll just do that later on. This happens when I make videos sometimes. You get a toy, and you're playing with it, and you're like, all right, time to make the review. And then it's in the wrong mode for the start of the review. So shooting in montage, shooting B-roll footage also means you don't have to film in order. Sometimes that's helpful just because this is where the toy ends up when you finish your script. Sometimes it's just a complicated toy. You don't want to go through it in the other order. Like, I haven't reviewed MP36 Megatron yet. I only want to film that transformation once. So I try to figure out how much I can do with one mode before I have to transform it. Some of the more complicated third-party toys get me this as well. And it's annoying. You know, think about your poor reviewers when you design your complicated toys. You have a big toy over there, big toy company. So for B-roll on a mode, especially a mode like this, I like to just have simple sweeping shot. Usually these ones I do for about 30 seconds. I'll do it a bit shorter for the sake of time here. I never use the full 30 seconds unless I like straight up forget to film something and I'm editing on the road. But filming more footage is always better than not filming enough footage, especially if like you're on the road, or if you are borrowing a toy, or if you filmed something and then sold it, and then you're like, hey, I should make the review of this thing that I filmed like 3 years ago, and then you realize you never filmed like a key feature. You can't really find someone you sold the toy to and then go like, excuse me, could you send that back to me for like just 5 minutes? It's for a video. I'm an auteur. I'll do one more shot just like from the top, and then this is more of the filmographer in me. I just like these like low upshot canted angles. They make me happy. Anyone in here, this is a long shot. Anyone in here ever watched any Kamen Rider?
Yes.
A couple of you guys have.
I tried to get into it.
There's a director called Koichi Sakamoto who does a lot of tokusatsu stuff. I really like his style, and it's affecting me a lot because he's just canted angles, dolly shots.
He's like them legs, huh?
That too, but you know, I forgot to do the robot mode. The tape deck mode, I'm going to give you guys a good look at it here now. Here's how it looks like. Here's the size. Here it is in my palm. I don't have any size comparison stuff on hand here. People on the internet who watch reviews are very particular about having size comparisons. As folks who may have watched video reviews, I'm sure you guys have your opinions on wanting to see size comparisons. So it's good to have something relevant nearby. I mean, yeah, or you just grab something from the audience if you want to. But yeah, here's the back. As you guys saw, this thing needs these batteries to actually stay standing on a tabletop. Bear that in mind. You can still pop the tape deck. Yes, you can have your little laser bird fly out of there. Not much else to say about the tape deck mode. I don't want to like, you know, there's something about this that kind of bums me out. I'll see if anyone brings it up. And if I forget to tell you what it is at the end, then like remind me. So if you have any thoughts on this tape deck mode, once again, you have 15 seconds to drop your thoughts. Line up at the mic. This mic is on, so I'm not going to turn it off this time. And I will get my stopwatch ready. Okie dokie. Tape deck mode, thoughts, fan media panel. All right. You said 2 colors.
Yes.
All right, you got this?
I got this.
Okay. Go.
He's also got yellow paint apps.
It's also roughly the size of an accelerator for G2. Also, it's really annoying that you can see the pelvis and legs in tape deck mode.
He got it, by the way. That's my biggest problem with that thing. You can literally just see the thighs chilling out there in the front. All right. Next up, go.
Do not lose the weapons.
All right, go ahead.
Now your robot is a box. It's a cool looking box, I guess.
The sad reality of the tape deck mode.
More about the thighs and the pelvis being visible in the tape deck mode. It wouldn't be as bad if the upper legs weren't gray instead of silver, because it kind of breaks that line of silver that goes around the perimeter of the tape deck mode.
Excellent call on some color work there.
The tape deck mode is very square but very nostalgic.
It is. You need to have nostalgia to know what a tape deck is, right?
The alt mode is every bit as posable as you come to expect from a Soundwave toy.
The door.
He has a purple and silver box who really wishes he had some zinc in him.
This is true. I think that the tape deck would have stayed standing if there was like a plate or something on the bottom. I'm not a guy who needs crotch. Yeah, die-cast crotch is what we're saying. Not die-cast butters. Yeah, Knuckles are great when he grabs those butt pegs. But yeah, this is one of those cases where I'm not a guy who needs die-casting his toys, but on something this small, one well-placed piece, or even not die-cast, but just a dense material, low set, means you don't actually need to have battery stilts. Whoever thought they'd hear the phrase battery stilts? Raise your hand. What? Okay, Nostradamus, we're going to go talk to you over here with the Inquisition, burn the stake or whatever. So, I'm going to quickly turn this guy back into a robot, and so we can also get some robot B-roll. The final segment of a review is I always like to have my overall thoughts. And I like to try to organize my thoughts this way so that I'm not like jumping ahead in the middle of a review and saying like, you know, during the robot mode, talking about the battery stilts. Like I like to try to keep things relevant to the imagery you're seeing, and I don't always succeed at this. In fact, often I don't. Sometimes it's blind luck. But overall thoughts means you can also not feel like you have to cram a ton of information in. Like during the tape deck mode, you don't have a lot of time because there's only so much B-roll you can shoot for a box. So if you do have some overall thoughts that relate to the tape deck mode, sometimes you can bustle them to the end of the review where you have more robot mode B-roll. I'm going to quickly shoot this robot mode B-roll, and let's go over a couple of the habits I have when I do this. I like to try to find a really nice standing pose. I like to avoid just the straight up like, you know, toy soldier pose, even on a toy I don't like. I think that there's something important to, if you're doing a review and you have negative feedback on the toy, often, unless you're highlighting like an actual thing the toy does wrong, or you're not able to make it look nice, I'm a big fan of making a toy look nice while you're saying things it does that you don't like. Because I feel like that's being triple fair to it. It's like, hey look, Steel Bang, I went out of my way to make you look really cool while I talk about how I needed to apply 3 coats of floor polish before I transformed you. Anyone out there got steel bane? Anyone out there got a floppy steel bane?
Oh yeah.
Anyone out there got a tight steel bane? Yeah, right.
I heard Skeletron was worse.
I haven't found I poked the Skeletron. Okay, that sounded weird. I touched my friend's Skeletron.
That's not worse.
A friend of mine touched Skeletron. And he was quite loose and floppy out of the box as well. It didn't. So my steel bane, not to go off topic here. By the way, now that I've done the front and back of the robot, there's 2 more shots I'd like to do for my basic 4. Is one where I'm kind of close on the front of the robot. I don't know if you can see this super well, but I like to be close on the front of the robot and then like travel up the body in a kind of arc like this. Oh, that records. I'm actually doing it. Get my arm out of the way so you can see. So I like to start down here on the left foot because I guess that's just a thing of mine. And then go up the leg, try to catch some of the detail and the paintwork. Come on over here. It's like an angled profile shot. And then I like to also just come on back, try to get that up shot that feels so good. And then the 4th piece of B-roll I always like to get on any toy that's a biped or has a head is a headshot. And I like to just come on up, go as close to the head as I possibly can and while still maintaining focus. And I like to do, I don't have a little dolly, so I just try to hold my arm still and do like a little sweeping front arc. And then come in at a canted angle and make a shot that kind of looks a little bit like a mug shot, not like a police mug shot, but like a profile book mug shot. And then often, because it's something that's important to me for the toy's identity, I like to have like a little like 1 or 2 sentence paragraph just about the head of a toy, how the sculpt looks, how the paint works, like whether or not, you know, it looks okay. Because I think that any figure, I don't know if you guys agree, any figure where everything else looks good, but then the head is just like chewed gum or something, like you just kind of ruins the whole thing, because that's a focal point, right? Yeah. So during the overall thoughts, that's when I like to do some of just my creative posing. Like this dude I haven't had long enough, so we'll just do like, what if he's shooting a gun? You know? And while I'm doing this, maybe put a little more thought into this one. This is where your sentence should kind of be like an encapsulation of your basic thoughts about the toy. You don't have to go into detail here. This is where you make your broad stroke statements. You know, where you can just go like, this thing satisfies, this thing does not. And if it satisfies or does not, just kind of like this a very broad stroke, 1 sentence reason. Like, this thing satisfies because Soundwave is my boy. Or this thing doesn't satisfy because he's not Starscream and I only like to collect Starscreams. Why am I even filming this video review? Who gave me this Soundwave? What a pile of junk. During this part, like shooting the B-roll for the end segment is also where I like to get a little more playful, filmographically. That's a word. It's where you can also do stuff like play around with like little action scenes or just like, you know, if you've seen toy photographers whose work you like and you kind of look up to, it's where you can try to replicate some of that. And replicating qualities of toy photography and videography, I think is a really fun thing to do because you can add that extra touch of motion and looking around the figure while also, you know, doing stuff like your Ian hardreturn.nets and stuff like that. This dude, I can't quite do the hardreturn.net pelvic thrust, but I can try. One thing I do find fun for any B-roll is trying to get like a dynamic, you know, body curve going, like something that just makes the toy look a little more alive. And then, you know, if you're reviewing a toy you don't like I said, I think this is being as fair as you possibly can be to a toy. You're not trying to do character assassination on it with your footage. You're making it look real nice while you're saying stuff like the thigh swivel blockage is like borderline criminal. And then to sort of float on this a bit, if you hit a shot you really like a still image you're really happy with, and you want to hold on it, I'd recommend don't just hold the camera still, which is noticeable. Like add a little bit of drift. Very slowly turn the camera like this a little bit. Just it adds a bit more life in it. It makes use of what is the advantage of the video medium, that being motion. So I think I've rambled well enough. So we'll get into our overall thoughts. If you've got some overall thoughts on this thing, especially if you haven't come up yet and you just want to say your piece about this toy, this segment, the overall thought segment, is also where you can just dump out everything you may have forgotten to say in the earlier parts of the review.
Quick question about the laser bird. Can you tab onto him anywhere when he's in robot mode?
I do not believe so. I'll double check for you here. Well, there's 2 little nubs, but I think those are just like stability nubs. Do those fit into here? No. And you can't, okay, you want to know a big bummer about not being able to tilt the bicep? You can't tilt the bicep, so he can't do this.
Oh, he couldn't even do that.
Yeah. It's a sound wave that can't do this.
That's bad.
Okay, I'll get my stopwatch right here.
Boomer.
All right, so overall thoughts. Again, still the 15-second time limit. This also means if you haven't said anything, you just want to throw down like one sentence that has occurred to you over the course of this panel. Go right ahead. After we're done this, if you guys are up for it, we've got some extra time. We can do a little bit of Q&A just about video production or whatever you want to tell. If you want to just ask me, like, what do you think about like vanilla Coke, or like where is that picture of all the pink slush that's turned into McNuggets real? I think we can talk about that.
No, it's not.
Spoiler alert. All right, audio for overall thoughts of the Fan Media panel. You ready?
Yes.
All right, go.
For the toy with a price point that is comparable to current Titans Return Deluxes, you are getting a premium finish Scout that rivals most current toys in actual retail lines in the current moment.
Nice. This is where you're going to more often hit, your team seconds. Like you're going to start hitting the limit on your sentence run here. And go.
Ew, okie dokie. He's also got translucent blue. I'm running out of colors. But elsewise, I think he's decent. Right down the middle. Could be better. Couldn't have, well, not that much.
Beep! Oh, you ran me up to 15. Finally, someone did it! I thought this was going to be a thing. I thought I was going to have to go beep constantly. All right, yeah.
The limited posability is a bummer, but I'd say he's a just good enough looking little despot to be worth his low price point.
Quick question, was that despot or deskbot?
Despot.
Deskbots, okay. I am a deskbot. Go.
If you're looking for a G1-esque Legend Soundwave, you've got a good, decent one for a good, decent price.
All right. And go.
Well, this is like a really good price for even just any third-party figure in general. Like if you're looking for higher quality one with well-in models, you may have to want to check and wait for another one to come out.
Go ahead, 0.82 over. That's my fault. And go.
This figure may look like Masterpiece Sander Jr., but he does not pose like it. You decide which one matters more.
And that's a capsule thought. All right, and finally, go.
Overall, a very solid G1 Soundwave, and he even has everything a woman wants, 90-degree angles.
Whoa. What about the part where you can take his hands to his own butt? Look, I've seen that before. I got the internet. All right. So that about this. There's more pickup footage I'll probably just shoot at home for this because I'm not going to lose this footage, right?
Yeah.
Maybe. I'm going to have a folder that says TFcon 2017. Yeah. In on my hard drive. That I use.
Nothing could possibly go wrong.
Exactly. So, what we're going to do now, in order to make things real nice for the next panel and for the AV team, if you guys have any questions about really anything that you think I could give you an answer for, I'm going to start packing up and I'm going to answer your questions at the same time because I have a lav mic and it's wonderful technology. It means that it's clipped on my collar and I don't have to use my hands. So if you could please line up the microphone if you have a question, then we can hear it over the PA as well. And yeah, I'm going to start packing up.
I just wanted to know, where did you say you got that?
Oh, the figure?
Yeah.
Chosen Prime has a bunch of them.
Oh, how much, 25%?
This one's 25. Now they only have the third release, which is 30 to come with 2 cassettes.
Right.
And it's in like,
That's a lot then.
it's in like a slightly lighter blue. 10 minutes?
Yes.
All right, you have 10 minutes to ask any questions and for me to pack up. We're going to do this, right? Yeah!
Maybe.
All right, go ahead.
I'm wondering, have you messed around with the open and play Springer yet?
I have. If it wasn't so complicated, it would have been the subject of this thing. Quick capsule thoughts. The price of that toy excuses a lot of its faults and enhances a lot of its qualities. The thing to bear in mind as far as faults is that there are no instructions, and it's a triple changer.
What is Springer?
So that's
covered.
that's real rough. Yeah, I'll do something. Also, there are a lot of tabs on it, especially the waist tab, where you got to add a little bit of floor polish. The waist tab is not like loose, but the shoulder ratchets are tighter. So when you move the shoulders up, often the chest will come with it, and that's embarrassing. You know, your chest opens when you move your arms forward.
I think there's some instructions online, by the way.
Oh, there are?
Mm-hmm. It's on YouTube, I think. Just search Open Play. Heard it from Alex Hugh.
Oh, did they put the instructions up?
Yeah, I think so.
Or put a QR code on the box, too. Right on the left. Am I blinding? I don't know.
Instructions online.
I actually found your reviews through some Super Robot Chogokin Gao Gaigar reviews. Are there any other Super Robot animes you like or anything like that?
Oh yeah, it's been a while since I watched one because the last one I watched, Shin Mazinger Z Impact, kind of ruined Super Robot anime for me because I was like, this is incredible, this is like mythology come to life, and then nothing after that has really hit me as hard. So I've like looked at clips and stuff, but I haven't sat down to watch a full series since then. It's been years now. It's depressing.
They don't make Super Robot animes anymore. They barely make animes anymore besides Sunrise. I mean, they still do their own stuff. So.
Yeah. It's not like a dead genre. It's just I think we're in a lull point.
We're in a lull. We're definitely in a lull.
So do your subtitles have a conscience of their own?
Yeah, they're a coworker.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, no worries.
SXS Hot Flame for MMC Calories.
Well, the thing I usually say with a comparison like that is I've really got to handle Hot Flame. I am interested in the Hot Flame because it is doing something I like that Calidus didn't.
What the thighs? They're disgusting.
There's also thighs, yes. Hot Flame has a thing where the vehicle mode also kind of looks like a butt. But like, I really like what they did with the shoulder pauldrons, and I do like that they went a little more Nick Roshi with the slimness. So I'm interested. This is the jerky thing to say. I'm interested also because SXS stuff tends to go on sale because no one really jumps on their stuff all that much. So I really hope it turns out well because there are things about Calidus that certainly warrant another option depending on your taste. But yeah, is that thing still coming out? Like, do we have a date on that? Okay. Because I thought it would be in the slideshow, the third-party panel, but it looks like it wasn't. Did you all see the combiner that's just called Satan? Like, all right, sure. Sorry, go ahead.
You seen those Kamen Rider build scans yet?
I did it. Second year in a row, I've looked at the new Kamen Rider suit while in a hotel room at TFcon. It looks kind of like Crooked Double. I kind of like it. I'm a little worried because there's this pattern for me where it's like, I think the suit looks weird, and then the show turns out great for me. And then it's like, yeah, or I think the suit looks great, and then the show is kind of like, yeah. Welcome to Kamen Rider, by the way. Little welcome to Kamen Rider thing. I saw on Twitter they debuted the identity of the new Doctor Who actor, and I was like looking at some of the Twitter reaction, and I was like, oh man, look at the baby Kamen Rider fandom over here. Oh no, a doctor's a girl. Guess what we got? Plenty of Rider girls. Kamen Rider though, we're still gonna have Rider girls who like are important or don't die. Sorry, someone was coming up and I started talking ahead of you.
The panel lady clapping her arms.
I just wanted to ask you, like, is there a particular type, like, with the editing, what kind of software works best, or just what?
That's an excellent question, because with software choices, often you think that there's a pro and a con, but with editing software, I certainly have my preference. I've been working in Final Cut 7 for like literally years. It's outdated now. I'm still working in it because that's where my templates are, and I'm afraid of change. But with editing, you got to use what you have. Like if you only have Windows Movie Maker, then for sure you should probably get something else. But there is really no case I could tell you that I would believe to be made about like, oh, you should get Vegas, you should get Adobe, you should get Final Cut. You should just get the one that works for you, because like the thing that matters is the video you've made at the end. No one whose opinion is worth listening to is going to go like, oh, did you make that in Adobe?
They'll do the same.
Like you're making a piece of media. It's like no one cares what synth you use when you make synth music, right? Well, I mean, they do, but it doesn't matter when you listen to the music. You're not like, Sennheiser, those notes.
A multi-track editor is a multi-track editor.
Yeah, an editor's an editor. It's what you do with it. If one is more comfortable for you, you should use the one you're comfortable with.
There's tutorials for every video editor.
Yeah. We've got just under 5 minutes, so I guess these two questions should probably be the last ones.
Okay, I have two questions. What is the best? Now I said I only watched a little bit of Kamen Rider, trying to get it, but like, what is the best series to start off with? Like I've heard like Kamen Rider Black and stuff like that.
Yeah, a lot of people will give you different answers because it does depend somewhat on your personal taste. A good starter, I always have felt Double is a good starter because it's got pros and cons, but it's a solid story front to back. It's got its dead points. It kind of gives you a little smattering of everything.
Time to count up your sins.
Yeah, it's time to count up your sins. There are other good shows. Guide is a good show. Decade is a good show if you just want to see a smattering of what Lotsa Rider looks like. So what I recommend is just like look at some clips, look at some openings, and if something interests you, just watch the first like 2 or 3 episodes if you have the time. And if it doesn't catch you, move on to another one. And then if you can't find a single one, find someone and go like, yeah, I watched all these and nothing did it for me. And then you can start to figure out like, okay, did you start one where it's like the show gets real good, but it took 18 episodes, which is the worst thing to tell someone when you really want them to watch a show. But I don't know, I hope that helps.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hello.
For someone just like starting their collection, and somebody who's like very interested in Megatron, which one would you recommend?
Okay, front up question. Do you need a masterpiece G1 looking Megatron?
To put it simply, I got a Cross Dimensions Megatron for my friend. Is that essentially like a good startup?
Oh, Ryder Despotron. Yeah, I think that's a fantastic figure. The reason I asked that question is because like there are so many Megatrons.
Yeah.
That it's kind of like, do you need a G1S, G1 Megatron?
G1S, yes.
We got 1 minute left, by the way. Yeah, for a G1 Megatron, I would say look at the MP36 and see if the robot mode works for you. If it doesn't, then look over to your third-party options. If you need fun transformation, I would say look at the Make Toys one. If you need something that's cost-effective and looks just still like a G1, look at the DX9 one or a Polygon. Don't get a Polygon if you want to transform a bunch, because he has a cruel transformations. So hopefully that helps.
Thank you very much.
All right, next up.
Do you ever go into a video with subtitles scripted ahead of time, or is that entirely self-deprecation after the fact everything is shot?
Once in a blue moon, I'm shooting something and I pause and like act as though I'm reacting to text and have a bright idea. And then once in a blue moon, I remember what I was doing when I edited. So most often it's stuff that I write after the fact. I'm trying to not write as many now, because I don't want to force them. And also it's more post-production work, but yeah.
I wanted to add to the Megatron question from before. Yeah, I'm looking for a Megatron too. Just no guns.
Oh, Despotron's a gun. I guess I heard Spark Toys Optimus was good, so maybe wait and see how the Spark Toys Megatron turns out because he's a tank.
Okay.
There aren't really any third-party Megatron tanks, are there?
I know.
Yeah, you're kind of stuck. Yeah, start looking into official ones. Like he's more often a tank on an official level.
Who? Which one I didn't hear?
Oh, Titan's Return, also Combiner Wars. Those were both like had their pros and cons. But yeah, you gotta look official, I think, for tank Megatrons.
Mine was an actual working trend.
Misha has a question.
When was the first time you fell in love with Coke Zero?
Back in 2009, I was staying in Alberta with a super group in City of Heroes that I was friends with called the Dauntless Reverie. One of them, by the way, now reviews Transformers. His name's Lynn Blazer. Look him up. He's a cool dude. Anyway, while I was there, someone had a whole bunch of Coke Zero left over, and I was like, well, I'll drink this. And I was after about 2 bottles, I was like, you know, this isn't all that bad. And then 3 months later, I got my pre-diabetes thing, and I was like, I should cut some sugar out. And so the first thing I did was go like, how much Coca-Cola do I drink? And I was like, how much of that can I change to sucralose? Because surely that's healthy. And that and eating a whole lot of fish actually did solve my problem. So that's when it happened. What's the next panel, Misha?
The next panel is voice acting with a couple of dudes I've heard of. Michael.